All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me today, Thursday afternoon. Interview number 2, preseason basketball, girls hoops. The great St. John Vianney, Coach Dawn Karpell. Dawn, thank you for joining me.
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yes, looking forward to finally getting the season going too. Before we, preview the team, I just want to go over, the team last year. Great run your team had. Before the season started, St. John Vianney is always, 1-2 in the state. Expectation, the expectation wasn't that high as it usually is to start the season. And, obviously your team proved everyone wrong. What was your message to the team to start the season?
Oh, it was awesome. We started last year, 10th in the preseason poll. I was like, oh, what are we doing? So I was like, this is so weird because, like you said, it's like a victim of your own success where you're always kind of preseason expectation. So it was kind of fun and too, rightfully so, we belong there. We had no seniors on our roster. We were basically graduated our whole group from the year before. So I think it was really nice to not have those expectations and the kids could just come in and work. I think the other piece is that they just kind of were all on the same page last year, which really allowed our chemistry and the buy-in, as you might call it, to come together because kids are just really excited to be contributing, and as a coach, preseason, you kind of have some thoughts on where you think players are, but you have to let them kind of play into those roles and define themselves. And it really fell into place a lot quicker than even I had expected last year on where they were at.
The first game I saw your team was the Gil St. Bernard game, at the St. John Vianney Christmas tournament. And I, right out of the gate, I was like, this team looks like the best team in the shore. Just the way everyone contributed, you got such lethal scorers with Katie Hill and Madison St. Rose, but to me, everyone was touching the ball. And I said, this team is going to be dangerous, going throughout the season.
Yeah. And I knew one, the jump that Maddie made from her freshman year to sophomore year was huge. Two, Katie had that experience factor and really, I don't want to say took a step back, but just kind of had to she did everything we asked her to do. I was like, I need you to be a rebounder. I need you to run the team. Katie just kind of had all these multiple hats, so to speak, that we had to ask her to do last year. And then, Emma came along, Ashley came along, Meg grew each game. And then our bench was effective with the younger kids growing as the season moved. So that helped as well.
A few games I want to talk about. First, the Riverdale game, big victory, said, St. John Vianney, we're the same team as we always are. Can you just talk a little bit about that game?
Oh, down in Philly. Yeah, for sure. I think we really scouted that hard. The year before, we kind of had gotten embarrassed by St. John's DC AZ Fuds team, which, wasn't a bad thing. But, so I think the kids knew that we hadn't really performed at our peak in that showcase the year before. And I think we just took full advantage of the opportunity in front of us and we got out on them. And they were a really talented team and they fought hard and we just hung on. And but I think it allowed us to grow up a lot that game.
Yeah, that's good, especially, not having any seniors, that has to help, getting a big victory early in the season like that, help the confidence of the whole team the rest of the way through. The next game I want to talk about, the only blemish on your record, Long Island Lutheran. Can you just talk a little bit about that game?
Yeah, they absolutely smoked us, just punched us right in the nose from the second we got off. We had the better of them in the previous couple of years. So I think Coach, him and I, Slater, have had some, games and he for sure had his team. We've talked 8 times since the season ended because he's kind of stepped back and is going in a new direction out that way. But they played this fantastic zone. It was a matchup zone and you have the 30-second shot clock in New York. And that was the one time that we looked young. We just could not get ourselves in the right spots on the floor. So, and really we were our own worst enemy, and they took full advantage of it, like turning it over, that kind of thing.
If I remember when I interviewed Emma during the summer, she said that was a game we just couldn't do anything right. That game.
Yeah.
Speaking of shot clock, are you a fan of shot clock?
Yes, I am. I mean, obviously,
I guess if you ask majority of shore coaches, they would all say yes to that question.
Yeah.
I am too, especially after that Shore versus South Jersey event last year. This St. Rose game, and it was hard to watch. Next game I want to talk to, a huge accomplishment, ESPN3 against Christ the King. What did that mean that your team, was one of the teams, selected? That's a huge honor, trying to help put girls high school basketball, on the map like it should be.
I think that was just paying homage. SJV, St. John Vianney, Christ the King, our relationship goes back 30 years almost now. I was 7th grader going on a bus to Queens to watch Audrey Gomez and then play Christ the King. When I took over at Vianney 15 years ago now, Mackie and I said, we're going to keep the home and home, because everyone want us to go play in showcases, and we just want to keep that tradition. So when that opportunity came up, Mackie asked us, just because of that part of, I don't call it a rivalry, but just the tradition of us playing each year, and the games are always competitive. So we were super excited, and I was really honored that he chose, not that he chose us, but that's where he wanted to go with it. So it was fun.
Yeah, that was great. Obviously I watched that, and everyone was talking about having, viewing parties and stuff. So it's, great for the Shore, just great for girls basketball overall. The next game I wanted to talk about was the Shore Conference tournament game against St. Rose. I know you're coaching the sideline, but watching Bryn Farrell and Madison St. Rose just exchange bucket for bucket, me being in the stands, it was just so fun to watch. You being on a coach, do you get to enjoy something like that?
Oh my God, it was almost like a heavyweight boxing match type. And honestly, I just watched that game the other day because the kids needed me to do some film, and I went in and we just started watching it. My family, that's where we are now in life. But and to be honest, through maybe 2.5 quarters, they weren't really doing much either of them. And then all of a sudden we get to that 4th quarter, and it was erupted, and it was just crazy. And defensively, to try to contain Bryn, it was so hard. And we were trying to keep Katie on her, but keep Katie out of foul trouble. Yeah. And then I think eventually Katie picked up fouls, and I had to put Madison on her to try to guard her, but I didn't want Maddie to use all that. And so those kind of things that go through your head when you're coaching. But the shots, the things that they were putting in were just ridiculous.
It was so fun. I usually sit with Bryn's dad when I'm at games, just because he's a calm parent, just enjoys watching basketball, and we were just it was so fun to watch both of them just exchange basket. The next game, obviously that was a big victory, and you moved on to play Manchester. How was it, getting revenge on the previous season's defeat in the Shore Conference tournament?
When you have a kid like that out on the court, you never breathe easy. So we were fortunate in that game, I think. And defensively, the kids really put in a tremendous defensive effort. I asked Matt to guard Destiny. Is a little bit of a crazy matchup, but again, I didn't want Katie to get in some early foul trouble. So our thought process, and gave her everything she had, and offensively, again, the year before we performed, the past couple of years, and performed well over Thomas, but we got some shots, which gave us confidence, and we were able to, and Maddie stepped up big in the second half of that game, to give us hit big shots that we needed.
Yeah, I was at work that game, but I streamed it. I watched it. It was a fun game to watch, which usually when you two get on the court, it is. The last game I want to talk, for last season. State game. You guys lost previous 2 seasons to St. Rose. How did it feel? Winning that South Jersey parochial A title and non-public A now. Sorry, that dates me to parochial.
Yeah, right. You know what? I just think that we were kind of peaking and playing our best basketball at that point in the season. I think going into the season, I was really anxious. St. Rose had the veteran squad, so it was kind of like reversed of the year before, where we had the veteran squad and they got us. And I think our kids just really stayed together that night, and that was a tight game. And Christina Whitehead came in, hit huge shots for us off the bench, because that's where the mismatch lied. And I think the kids just understanding that part of like finding the mismatches. And then the other part was just the defensive end, which is like the side of the ball that I really preach to, in case nobody didn't know that. But we really defended and took charges. Meg ended up with a broken nose. It just, it was like that was almost like a boxing match too. Literally, there was blood all over the place.
Yeah. I love the way Megan plays, defense. We'll talk a little more about her when we preview the team, but she's so fierce down there and not afraid to bang with anybody.
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere after, the game ended, and then what was it the next day or a couple days later they decided to end the season?
Yeah, it was the very next day. The kids were in school, and Actually, I was speaking to NJ the other day. They were doing the preseason, and that was the day that the NBA shut down. Mm-hmm. And the NCAA wasn't going to allow fans, because that was like the first step. Yeah. I left the gym that night in Long Branch thinking, I don't even know if we're going to get to see this through. So I think the hardest part is it okay? Is it like
no,
okay? The hardest part was just that we weren't able to be together. Once the news, the kids are texting me like, Coach, they just canceled practice. We have to go home. They're like, do we really have to go home right now? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you guys really have to go home. We're not allowed to practice today. And they're like, and then the reality set in of like, this isn't going to happen. And, we did a couple of these Zoom meets, and it was almost like a little, they almost had to go out and mourn it. Like mourn the loss of not having that closure. It was for teenagers. As an adult, it was hard. For teenage girls that put everything they had into it, it was really, really hard.
Yeah, even me just as a fan, it was tough on me. And everyone says we were cheated out of the TCA St. John Vianney potential matchup, which I think would have been interesting matchup. To state the least. Transitioning into this year, talking COVID, what are challenges you as a coach and the players are facing, as the season's getting ready to start with, COVID?
Yeah, so then we go into just the summer, and then like the rules change. So then we're not allowed to really even be together in a normal way in the summer. I think there was maybe a window of 10 days that I could even interact with them in like a normal way. So we just the kids have threw themselves into, they couldn't do their AAU. And so I will say this, preseason, they threw themselves, I'm going to give a shout out to Bobby over at Ripped, but Reach Your Potential training. My kids have been in there 9 months now, just because Bobby was able to keep them going on that side and physically get them going. And they've just been doing skill work, and we did all of the summer ball up at No Boys Allowed in the fall. They got to play. So, they had that. So now heading into the season, it is what it is. We're just going to take the couple weeks that they're going to give us and just be excited to be back together, because it's been almost 10 months.
Yeah.
Since we have.
Yeah. And, you're talking about your team getting in, training, and it shows how hard these kids work, whether it's basketball, soccer, lacrosse, whatever sport, these kids work to, they didn't let this, interfere with, them progressing or, trying to, get themselves better. And, just shows how hard work these kids are these days.
Yeah, no, it really, and two, like, it's one of those things, like, it's their identity for a lot of them. It's who they are. It's what
Yeah.
they're about. And then, like, so, I would say, like, a pro of it is they learned how to play pickup in the park.
But you
like,
don't see.
yeah, they had to go outside and play and like, and they had to figure out how to get their own games together. And then I shouldn't share this online, but then they figured out who they didn't want to invite because that person might not share the ball. So like those are all things that like we grew up doing that for years they haven't done, but like they had to go back to like kind of doing some of those things.
I'm pretty sure it was Basketball Warehouse when the pandemic first started that took a photo of an outside court and said, "Kids, this is where you learn to play pickup basketball and stuff." Because, it's and part of it is because AAU runs so long that you're either with your high school team or your AAU team for majority of the year. So it was good to see. I drive around to the park during the spring season, before they started AAU tournaments, and they were always packed and stuff. So which is good to see. And like you said, that's how that's where we always played. It's always the park. Previewing, I just want to talk about your players. First, it's your senior. Obviously Katie Hill, leader, and like you said, she does everything you ask for. And during the Foley, looks like she might have a little bit of a coaching future in her. Just watching her on the sidelines and stuff. Just talk, what Katie means, to the team being the senior leader.
Well, the one thing is just physically, like she absolutely like has thrown herself into in her body, like just where she's at physically now, and how much she has just put herself into like getting herself ready for this year, and that's my heart really breaks for her. Like, people are like, why is Katie so angry? I'm like, well, because her senior year's getting taken away. Like, that's kind of where it's coming from. Like, I was actually chatting to Kelly Campbell about that because she kind of interacts with the kids a little bit on that, and she's like, I would feel the same way. So but yeah, she has really good leadership. It really, she is an extension of the coach. She really is in tune to what we're looking for in her game. I will say, like, from last March till now, like just watching her play in the pickup and watching her play in the leagues that we've done, she's improved on those parts. So she has used this time wisely to improve on the parts of her game that needed growth. So I'm excited for her to be able just to go out and showcase it for a couple weeks coming up.
Yeah, I look forward, she's one, feel bad for her because, this is the year that they wait for, their senior years. And another senior, she's one of my favorite defenders in the Shore, Emma. What is, she just, she doesn't give up, defensively. And I think she even made a comment either in the interview or when I spoke to her after it was one of the games. I think it was one of the St. Rose games. And she said she was exhausted after that game, defensively. And her exact words was, that won't happen again. So it just, talk about just that mindset alone.
Yeah, well, she was chasing Abby around, so like enough said, like the Energizer Bunny is Abby. So they're fun to watch. Emma is just like 100% bought in. She's just a true Vianney kid. Like, came in, played JV freshman sophomore year, sponged up everything. The other thing is physically she matured. She's a summer birthday, so she's on the young side. Okay. So I kind of am talking to college coaches about that a little bit. Like, even if you look at the film from last Gil St. Bernard game last year, right, Christmas time, to like where she's at now, physically speaking, it's 100% like different, So again, like she's just primed, and two, like COVID really killed her recruiting. And we're still working on that, and that's going to work out for her. I know it is, because she 100% wants it to work out.
Yeah, absolutely. And any school would be lucky, to have a player like her, that the effort she gives, and just herself on the defensive end of the ball. Any school would be crazy not to want that on their team.
Right. And she's got out there and she's improved on the skill sets
Yeah.
and some things that coaches have passed on to her, like in the recruiting process of what they need to see. She's taken that to heart and really is going out there and following through on it. So again, I'm excited for her to be able to go out and kind of show the work that she's put in the last 10 months.
Another senior, I think she's so underrated. And, you brought her up before, with the St. Rose game. She's, to me, one of the more consistent three-pointers in the Shore last season. Christina Whitehead. Could you just talk about, because it seems like she's somebody that flies under her radar, but, she's so talented.
Yeah, she's still on the fence. Like she might not play this year. She kind of got hung up in the COVID situation where, she kind of was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do it. And I said, take the time, go out and look. So she knows she's not going to play college ball. So she's kind of, we'll see next week if she decides to come out or not. We kind of left it open. But so those are just decisions that kids come to, and COVID kind of, I think, accelerated that a little bit for some kids. Michaela Drennan also, who played a little bit off the bench for us. She said, I don't know, coach, if I'm going to play in college. So, I don't know if she's necessarily going to be coming back, but I do have Sienna Bradley, who is my other senior that will be back. And she actually last week has decided she's going to go play D3 up at Wheaton, which is up in, I think it's Northern Massachusetts, Rhode Island. It's like right on that cusp up there. And she's a great kid, been part of our program for 4 years, 3-point shooter. And so basically that's kind of our senior. So that's kind of where we're at with our senior group.
Madison St. Rose, we did nothing we can't say about her. I mean, she's just, fantastic, going to Princeton, that's an honor itself, going to an Ivy League school. I joke with the girls when I interview, whether it's soccer or basketball, I said, when I was in school, you either played sports or you had book smart. Like, you girls have both. You play sports at such a high level, and, you have such high hopes, with careers, doctors, lawyers, it's just so impressive. Talk a little bit about Madison and, and her going to, going to end up going to Princeton.
That's just so, I mean, Maddie is just an overall great kid. She's a great teammate. She's a phenomenal basketball player, but off of the court, like, she is such a good kid. Her mom, she got a twin brother and her mom. So that's like a little backstory on Maddie. And when we spoke over the summer, recruiting was heating up, and then we saw like how they were going to give the extra year to college students and like it just projecting some things out. She had lots of obviously great choices, and but her mom was like, listen, Maddie's a Black female, and where our country's at, and for her future, that degree from a place like there. And I said, Maddie, like, I cannot argue anything that you're saying right now. Like, if I had that opportunity, it's something that you can't pass up. You know what I mean? And that's how her mom felt about it. And that's how Maddie felt about it. And Maddie's a kid that, likes to make her own path, likes to like, and it's not about the name of the name of the school or like the rankings and like that stuff. She just wants to go play basketball and be a great teammate, and to get be able to go to Princeton is just an opportunity that she did not want to like pass up.
It's great for us because it's a car ride away that we can catch.
I said selfishly, Maddie, I love this decision because now I can continue. And honestly, that did play into her mom. It did come into her decision. It did.
That's usually one of the questions that, when I interview the girls, I don't ask like sports related what you're looking at in college. I like to ask like location and size of the school and that kind of stuff. And it's just because to me, it's just fascinating what kids are thinking, where they want to go. Another sophomore, to me, to start of the season, it seemed like Emma and Maddie was handling the point guard, and then towards the end of the season, Ashley was kind of, taking that role. Just talk about, and you made a comment, when I put my defenders list, you made a comment to me about, Ashley O'Connor, up there, and you're right, because she just flies under the radar, but she, she's so good.
Yeah. So basically, when we went into the lineups for last year, I went with Emma and Ashley because of the defensive side of the ball. Because we had Christina, who was offensive, and Ashley is just like the jack of all trades, and she does fly under the radar. But when you look at a stat sheet at the end of the game, she'll have 4 or 5 rebounds, she'll have 2 or 3 assists, she'll have 6 or 7 points, and she'll lock up whoever I need her to lock up. So Ashley played soccer, so I know you're a soccer guy when she was younger, and she definitely, like, soccer players are just, and she does. She just can move those feet. She can keep any kid in the state in front of her, and it's just so fun to watch her and Emma like frustrate guards.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. Coach Goody Jackson jokes with me about me loving my soccer players on the basketball court.
Yeah.
And it's just something about them defensively, they're just fierce, and I love it. I want to quickly talk about Megan. We talked briefly, what first game that, she really stood out was when Gil St. Bernard, they were struggling to get her, what's her name at Gil St.
The big
Bernard?
kid, the Walsh kid, right?
Walsh. They were struggling to get her a ball because she was just doing. I like, my jaw dropped because I was like, wow. I go, they can't even get her the ball because Megan was doing such a great job defensively. Yeah.
So Meg, we had to freshman year to sophomore year get her into that, like, this is how we play conditioning, and like she had to learn that freshman year. Because honestly, freshman year I would have liked to, but she just quite wasn't. And this was, she'll get mad at me, but we went up and we scrimmaged IHA last year in preseason. They had the other big kid, the volleyball kid. God, she's at Northwestern now. Yes.
I think Morris, yeah.
And Meg, I didn't start Meg that day because I didn't like where she was at, and then I kind of like got into her that, like, she had a challenge, a big player. So then her next opportunity was the Gil St. Bernard game, where she was going to have to go against another big, and Meg's a super competitive kid. So like I kind of pressed the right button. And so by the time we got to that, and honestly, her growth over last year was pivotal for us to be in those games that we talked about in February and March, was really big for her to be able to, and then we had her stepping in and taking charges and, besides competing on the glass, and she's a really heady, smart offensive player as well. So like that just obviously leads to Holy Cross making sense for her.
Yeah, I think she might have been my number one post defender. Like, I would not want to go up against her.
In the post. Yeah, and she bought into owning that, and I would say her offensive game is really starting to develop now, which is like kind of normal. And hopefully she'll get to show that off this year as well.
Quick, who are a couple other underclassmen that you expecting to have more of a role this season that might
for sure. I mean, we have like 5 sophomores that, in my opinion, all have Division I abilities. Janie Bachman got a little run last year. She's 6 foot tall, lefty, lanky, long, kind of like a Katie Hill model, like in that kind of frame. Real good, tenacious defender. Then I have another 2 bigs. Michaela Hubbard played great for us last year, a little bit off the bench. She's going to play more this year because she's got herself in again, that condition. She's lefty, so that's Ashley Solfakanich is 6'3", and can pretty much touch the rim. She's like tremendous athlete, and so I have like 3 between Meg and Michaela and Ashley. We have like these 3 centers that they're just going to make each other better, because to be honest, like, practice is going to be huge for us this year. And then I have another guard, Sierra Cervalis, who played pretty well off the bench for us last year and gave us some meaningful minutes at the guard. Great, really good defender, good handle, can run a little point guard. I can move Maddie over when I bring her in. So she makes us more versatile. And the great thing is they're not freshmen this year, they're sophomores, and they've all improved this summer. And then lastly, Bree Delaney, who struggled a little bit with injury last year. And she kind of came out of middle school as like a forward, like a 5'8" forward. And I'm like, Bree, you have to be a guard in college, So she has bought in so much about improving her skill and shooting and being able to extend herself. And those kids have really worked hard in the off season. So I'm excited for all of them to really be able to. We can almost go 5 in, 5 out this year, and not have a lot of a drop with the group I have.
And how about freshmen? I know your daughter. Any other freshmen?
This year it's probably just going to be Julia Karpell, just because of it's just tough. Well, one with the roster we just went through, two because of COVID. But Julia, honestly, is super excited to come in. I don't know how excited she is about playing for her mom, but and the other cool thing is she's just totally like the polar opposite of her sister. So she's like 5'11", lefty. Shooter, like she's different than Sarah.
When at the wall league, I was like, wow. I go, she does not look like a freshman, and I was impressed the way she looked out there in the wall league.
Yeah, she handles herself in a mature way. I mean, she always has played up, so she played a lot of AAU with the kids that are sophomores. So she doesn't have that, like she feels like she belongs out there. So she's gonna have to come in and earn it against that crew every day in practice.
How is that? You coach Sauer, now you coach Julia. How is it coaching your daughters?
It's funny, like when you have kids, parents will say this, they have every kid is different. So when I'm coaching them, every kid is different. Their personalities are really different. Their style of play is really different. So I'm excited to have an opportunity to coach her, and it's fun. It's just like something that's unique. And I think the other thing is with going along with Vianney is, like, is your daughter good enough to play there, and that kind of part of it. And, it's like, well, I played there, so I hope that they're like enough to play there. But, so we're excited, and she's going to be the only freshman. So I think the upperclassmen are going to have some fun with her too.
That's good. One thing, how long have you been coaching now at Vianney?
Oh my gosh. I think this is my 15th year.
Oh.
I was at Holmdel for 4, and then I did 1 year at Keensburg. So this is my 20th year. Yeah. So I think it's like this is going into my 16th, maybe. I don't know, 15th, 16th year.
I asked JT this yesterday about, he's been at Red Bank Regional for 4 years now, and tradition. Now, do you think, the seniors passing down to the underclassmen, traditions at St. John Vianney is a reason why this has been so successful, since I've been in high school?
I think, there's just certain standards that and there is tradition. I'm a big advocate of it and speak to it often. And, because we do have so many talented kids come into the gym, and to get everybody on the same page. And you can have lots of talent, but to be successful, that talent has to be able to like work together. And, that's part of our tradition, is this, that no one player is bigger than the program, like that it's all about us and not me. And I guess that's kind of the big piece, and then there's lots of other little things that I don't even have to speak to anymore, that are just there, that are part of the program. That's important. Yeah.
Coach, thank you. I mean, it took, I was looking forward to interviewing you. I wanted to make sure you were one of the coaches that said yes.
Oh, sorry I took so long. Yeah.
No.
I don't shut up.
No. I like that. And I know a lot of people, I read the article yesterday by Brian, and I talked to Brian yesterday, and he said, "Oh, who's your next interview?" And I said, "Oh, Dawn tomorrow." And he said, "Oh, I'm looking forward to that." And I agree with you with the scheduling. I think I posted that in the fall about the scheduling, how this was a good chance for especially for this season.
And I'll be honest, the Coaches Association, we had meetings. We met a couple times. I don't know if you're talking to the coach from Shore, Will, at all, but Will put a lot of time into like projecting out some possible things that we could have done. And we really like it. And I just feel like it fell a little bit on deaf ears, or like it just wasn't, and there was an opportunity, in my opinion, there was an opportunity to do right by it, and it's not a normal year. So like, why do what we normally do? Like, let's do what's best for the kids that are already missing out on a lot. You know, like, why are we gonna like hurt them even more? That's my thoughts. You know,
during the fall league, I had a coach, you know, top 10 team in short, and the coach said, I'd rather play St. John Vianney and lose by 15, 20, and then beat a bottom team by 40. He goes, my team will get more out of that loss than me playing my bench.
Right. That's the other part. And I respect the heck out of the coaches of everybody we play, but we agree. Like, what is your team getting out of it? What is my team getting out of it? Let's put them in games where kids are going to have a better experience. And that part that I think was totally overlooked and not taken into, and I don't know if it was because of boys or the way the teams were, but like, that's just my personal thoughts. But and that's the thing, the coaches, we put some stuff together. There wasn't like they could have looked at it and know how strongly it was. And it was kind of like, oh, next year, like, oh, we want to kind of do this now. Come on, guys, like, do the right thing for the kids. Yeah.
So, I mean, only positives, we're getting back on the court.
Right. And that's the other part. I can't, you can't be upset by it. Like, we're just going to have this opportunity. We're going to use it. We're going to get in the gym. We'll get to practice together. We'll be in the gym. We'll have a couple games out there that are good. Hopefully we'll get to the pod by the end and be able to do that. But even there, you take the top 8. We're only going to play top 8 teams. Like, if you win, so you're still going to maybe not playing Madison, not playing St. Rose or, and there was opportunity missed.
Well, hopefully they work on that this season, after the season. Coach, thank you for joining me. I'm going to let you go. And, I wish you and the team luck. Good luck this season, and hopefully everyone stays healthy. Yes, and thanks so much for putting the time in and doing this for the girls. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I'll talk to you, hopefully, who knows if I'm going to be able to get into the game. So I'm working on some things. But we'll see. Some VIP passes, right? Yeah. So thanks, Coach. All right. Take it easy. Bye-bye. You too. Bye.